What's up, everybody? Savage Brittany here, bringing you some team deathmatch on Aftermath. Now, I usually hate Aftermath, but I go off on the main stage here in this game. I outplay people. It's a really good gameplay, probably one of the best that I've gotten, especially here lately. And it's been a while since we've done an actual commentary, but we've got some more news on Gears of War 4. Kind of. We have a hint at what Gears of War 4 may be, what game it may be. So let me first say my source is actually a really cool website called gearsofwarportal.com. There'll be a link to it down in the description. And the actual article is in Xbox Magazine. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? So first, let me say this is a Brazilian source. It's been translated, so it may or may not be accurate. But it seems like it's pretty feasible. That's why I wanted to bring it up. There are plenty of people who are saying, oh, this and that, at least if you know where to look. And I thought this one looked the most credible. This new Gears of War portal seems like a really credible website. So it has Ortega, who told Xbox One Magazine, and I'm just going to quote it. He had, it would be very interesting to explore E-Day. And then he told Xbox One Magazine, and I'm going to quote what it says here. But the thing is, it's translated, so it may not make perfect sense. It says, quote, "He has much emotional impact. This was the day that Dom and Mary lost their children, when humans were fighting humans for so long. The war was finally over, and then they had to fight a greater threat. I think this is the most interesting to fill gap for sure." End quote. So it sounds like they're really interested in looking at E-Day. They're really interested in looking at the actual start of the war, which would be really cool considering, I mean, we've got Gears of War 1, which was years after E-Day, and then we've got Gears of War Judgment, which is supposed to be right after E-Day, pretty much. It's very soon thereafter. But from reading the novels, you learn a little bit about the Pendulum Wars. The first one, I want to say, is at least about the end of the Pendulum Wars. And to give you guys a little history about that, the COG and the URI, or UIR, I always get it backwards, which is where Paddock is from, they have been fighting for so long that no one even remembers a time without war is how long it's been going. It's kind of similar to in England when we had, I think it was in England, they had the 100 Years' War. I might be mistaken there, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. That it's kind of akin to that, where no one alive can remember a time pre-war, that's a long ass time. And so they've been fighting and fighting over Emulsion, and finally Adam Phoenix just makes the Hammer of Dawn. It ends the war. There you go. But 2 weeks after they signed the peace treaty, so 2 weeks after the end of the Pendulum Wars, which is what they were called, we start the Locust War with Emergence Day. And so having something right at that time period, we may see things from the end of the Pendulum Wars. We may see things from, the only characters that were really around that it talks about for sure, that I know for sure are present here. Everyone in Gears of War Judgment will pretty much be present. Bernie was present, which I'm really excited about. Mark and Saddam were also present. I think this was pre-court-martial for Marcus Phoenix, which, if you guys want to know more about that, maybe I'll make a video of Gears of War lore or something like that. I've tossed that idea around a little bit. But anyway, let me get on into the rest of the article, because there's some more info from Xbox One, Gears of War on Xbox One, E-Day, really interesting to explore. I'm just going to go ahead and read the article real quick. It's a really short article. So, Gears of War on Xbox One is only a few weeks into production at Black Tusk Studios, but there's already much debate about when the game should be set and what subjects in Gears lore it should tackle. Favored among all options so far is Emergence Day, even among those who used to work on Gears of War, like Joshua Ortega, former writer for Gears of War 2, and the scribe behind many of the Gears of War comics. Quote, "E-Day would be really interesting to explore," Ortega told X1 in an exclusive interview. "It has a lot of emotional impact. It was the day that Dom and Maria lost their children, when humans had been fighting humans for so long. The war was finally over, and then they had to take up arms against a greater threat." I feel like that's the most compelling gap to fill for sure, end quote. Read even more expert opinion and insight on Gears of War 4 Ortega, fellow writer, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so this is in issue 109, I think. I do not have a copy, but from what I have read through it, it looks like some people are, doing shoutouts to flashback DLC, to things like we had ROM Shadow, things like that, and I think that's really interesting. E-Day, take things like ROM Shadow and just Judgment as a whole, actually, and you got a great storyline. I mean, Gears of War Judgment had a great storyline, whether you liked it or not. It expanded a little bit. Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2 were really, punch the bad guys in the face. Gears of War 3 hit you in the heartstrings. I cried when Dom died. If you didn't, then can you call yourself a Gears of War fan? But they're right. It's something that was not addressed much. I have read the novels, and so I do know what went on E-Day. I do know, they dropped the Hammer of Dawn. Everyone was there for that. I know all about that. I mean, there's plenty of things that we all know, but there are plenty of things that we don't know. There's plenty of, what happened, who took control. Karn dies in Gears of War Judgment, so he's gone. So we have General Rom, Obviously, people went after General Rom before that. There's plenty of things. There's plenty of gap in between Gears of War Judgment and Gears of War 1. But at the same time, how much can they cover? What can they give to a full game that we haven't already seen, or that we might not already know about? There's plenty to read and learn, from the comic books which started Gears of War to the novels that Karen Travis has read, which are very lore friendly. I mean, the guidebooks give some insight and some tips. But the way Gears of War is set up, it's not like, I'm just going to use Pokemon for an example because Gen 3 remakes were just announced, get excited, but there were all sorts of hints in the newest releases of games, X and Y, about what the next game may be. You don't get that in Gears of War. It was designed, each one was designed as the last one. Gears of War 3 was definitely their last in the trilogy. They were sure of that. They wanted to be done. They said, I don't want any more of this. But they designed Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2 to work as a standalone, if needed, of course. Of course, it's always great to make secondary games. They said it's always great to make secondary games, to make sequels, but they always thought, oh, well, here's a great game. Oh, they want another one. Okay, well, here's another great game. Things like that. It was never, meant hardcore to be a trilogy. They didn't go into it thinking it would be. So that's really interesting that, they both leave gaps and don't leave gaps that you can either fill with your imagination. You could really read into some things, but there's not that much to read into when you really get into it. It's pretty much just cut and dry. This is how it happened, this is how it works, so on and so forth. So while we don't know a lot, we do know that they're very excited about maybe making an E-Day game, which I think would be absolutely wonderful. I think that E-Day is the most controversial topic we can talk about, because we have the end of the Locust Wars, and without going into Pendulum Wars, there's not much more they can talk about. They got about a 14-year gap between games. Let's go ahead and fill that in. Let's talk about Emergence Day. So anyway, guys, that's the new news on Gears of War 4. If you enjoyed, leave a like. I don't get paid for it. All it does is help me get this video out there. It helps me see who likes this video, of course. And it really just makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I did something well. So, comment if you're feeling it, and subscribe if you want to see more things like this. Anyway, guys, I've been Savage Bernie, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.